When I came to FAMM in late 2000, my very first day in the office, our founder and the first president of FAMM, Julie Stewart, said to me, "We have to get 200 people out of federal prison before the end of the Clinton administration," which was 2 months away. We were aware that the president was looking for cases, and so we began to sort through our files to look for individuals. And one of those cases that turned up was Michael Mahoney's. He had been convicted in Texas of 3 hand-to-hand sales to a confidential informant of street-level drugs. When he was finished with his sentence, he returned to his home in Tennessee. And in Tennessee, he sort of turned his life around. He was living just a blameless life, a blame-free life. He would have cash receipts from his business at the end of the night, which would be quite late. And he had to go to a night deposit box at a bank, and it wasn't very safe, and so he decided he would like to find out if he could purchase a gun to protect himself. He had to fill out a form. It's an ATF form. And Michael gets to the question on the ATF form, which is, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And Michael said, yeah, it had been 14 years ago. And the pawn shop owner said, no problem. He said, those are more than 10 years old, and you don't have to answer that question on this form. So he purchases the gun, goes about his business, and then the gun gets stolen. And Michael reports the gun stolen. When he goes to purchase a new one, they figure out that he is a felon. And there's a federal law called the Felon in Possession Law, and it requires sentences of anywhere up till 10 years if a person with a prior felony conviction possesses a firearm. Michael pled guilty in federal court to being a felon in possession. What he didn't know, and what the judge didn't even know, was that there's a 15-year mandatory minimum for a crime called Armed Career Criminal Act. The judge could not believe this, but he came back to the bench and he said, absolutely, that is what Congress said. That's what the law says, and my hands are tied. And he sentenced Michael to 15 years in prison. Fast forward a few years, and we had stayed in touch with Michael because he was a FAMM member, and that's what we do. And we learned that he had developed a very serious form of cancer. One thing that we were aware of is that there was this power that the Bureau of Prisons had, that the courts had, called compassionate release. The only way an individual could get compassionate release back in the day was if the Bureau of Prisons filed a motion with the sentencing court. The judge wrote a letter to the director of the Bureau of Prisons. In his letter to the director of the Bureau of Prisons, the judge said, "Mr. Mahoney's case has troubled me since I sentenced him in 1994 as one of those cases in which a well-intentioned and sound law resulted in an injustice." And in his letter, he said, "I suggest that a motion for compassionate release is the only way to mitigate, in a very small way, the harshness which the Armed Career Criminal Act has caused in this unusual and unfortunate case." The director of the Bureau of Prisons did not reply to the judge, and Michael died a short time later, alone. And I think the thing that Michael's case did was to sort of crystallize for me that there was only one way we were going to be able to fix compassionate release, and that was to get total control over the process away from the Bureau of Prisons. We were successful in doing that with passage of the First Step Act. So FAMM's advocacy has absolutely transformed the way compassionate release works. You know, it's been a long time since Michael died. He died in 2004. His story animated my work, and I've been working on it, but I just could not imagine putting down that chore after his death and everything that happened to him. And I think about him often, and I'm grateful to him for, he went through so much. I'm grateful doesn't seem like the right word, but I am. I'm grateful to his quiet example, his willingness to talk to us, to trust us with his story, to trust us with his cause. We couldn't get it over the line when he was alive, but we did it since then.